Aha, we're live, baby. And on that note, welcome everybody to episode 30 of Gabbin with Oof here on the Oofman Entertainment channel. Thank you so much for checking this out, whether it's live or on demand. And yeah, thank you all for checking out my previous videos, especially last video, episode 29, my 2-on-1 exclusive interview with one of the hottest independent tag teams in the independent scene right now, the Shot Callers. We had a great time there. And also, thank you so much for everybody who watched nearly 200 views on my little trilogy, my little documentary on the 30th anniversary of the NWO. I guarantee you, I am the history buff, apparently, of the internet, of YouTube. More history will be spoken on this channel. But again, thank you all for watching it. If you like what you see, please hit the like button and subscribe. And again, I am not rolling alone. I have my brother from a different mother all the way down south in La Florida. I got Mr. Scheffler on. Dave, how we doing, my brother?
How you doing, Oofman?
Doing great, man. How has your week been? And are you looking forward to this year's SummerSlam?
I'm kind of looking forward to it. There's not a lot of matches. I think night one's going to be the stronger of the two nights. I have really 3 matches I'm looking forward to that night, and then I have 2, maybe 3 on the second night, but night one's looking stronger right now to me.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Night one is the better nights of the two, but again, we just got to hope that they give us a good show, especially after AEW Redemption. It was all right, but hopefully WWE can fire back with a pretty good SummerSlam. So on that note, and it just always seems, Dave, that it's just you and me, but that's cool. Shout out to the No DQ family. This is also being streamed on the Boss Man's channel. So a big thank you to Aaron Rift. And shout out and thoughts to our boy Gino. He had a tragic loss in his family. So Gino, thoughts and prayers are with you. Normally on a Wednesday night would be Major Push Wrestling, but due to that reason and his traveling, Gino couldn't be on. So Gino, we love you. Prayers are with you. And so we decided to roll with Gabbin with Oof. So Dave and I are going to gab. And again, like we said just a couple seconds ago, that this weekend is the SummerSlam. I say the SummerSlam because of Brett, because I just love it. It's SummerSlam 2026, 2 nights. But what we're going to gab about tonight is just a couple memories of, again, I mean, it seems like Dave and I, we're Marty and Doc. We're jumping in the DeLorean and going back in time. And that's cool. If that's our shtick, it's fine with me. It doesn't bother me at all, Dave. So what we're going to gab about today in this little time together is we're going to just talk about SummerSlam memories. So I asked anybody to participate to just pick 3 random moments of the past SummerSlams that you remember, whether they be good or whether they be bad, or just things that you just can't forget. And again, if you guys follow my channel and how biased I am to the Hitman, I believe Bret Hart is Mr. SummerSlam. So my 3 memories are of Bret. Actually, 2 are of Bret, and 1 is that deals with him. And like how Dave and I spoke about WrestleMania X7 and just the NWO as well. And again, Dave, thank you so much for your participation in that. It's just funny how all these years later, WWE doesn't seem to get the idea. Again, one of my topics, I'm going to compare it to today's SummerSlam. So, Dave, I'm going to let you be the guest of honor. So, give me, what is your first random good memory of SummerSlam, or a bad one, or an interesting one? But to start the show off, for your first pick, what is your first memory, random thought of the history of SummerSlam?
Well, you're going to like my favorite match of SummerSlam in my favorite year. It was 1992.
Okay.
It was at Wembley Stadium. And it was our buddy Bret and the British Bulldog for the Intercontinental title.
Exactly. And what's the most thing that you really remember of that? That wasn't one of my answers, but one I just saw it the other day. And again, shout out to the WWE Vault here on YouTube. They listed a couple of intros in the history of SummerSlam, and I think it's a girl with the hat on that goes, "The British Bulldog's going to win tonight, whether he wants to or not." And that's a classic moment from that particular SummerSlam, besides the matches and all the moments. But that's one moment I'll never forget. And I think that person is like, well, that was 1992, about 30 years, more than 30 years ago. They're like They were like 12, I think. So they're about my age-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they recently posted like a new video reenacting that. So that's my memory of that thing. So yeah, so let's gab about it, Dave. What about SummerSlam 92?
Well, that match was all about, and you don't see it nowadays, especially in the recent memory where you get the hometown hero that goes over. And
Right. Oh yeah,
the
that is
talk
true.
the talk leading up to this was it was British Bulldog getting a singles title because he was more known for the British Bulldogs, the tag team wrestling for a long time with the Dynamite Kid, and he got to flex on his own and the fight against family. He had his wife there, the parents of I think if I remember right, Stu and his Martha were. I think I can't remember. I said Martha, his wife's name, but Stu, the Hearts were
Or
there. The whole family was there for that match. I
oh yeah,
think.
the whole family was there. Diana was
Yeah.
ringside, but I think the family was backstage. The rest of the family was backstage, especially Brett's.
But seeing him at the end of that match win the title, and that's how it went off with a bang. And again, you can't see. We talk about it with the NWO in the past, and with our favorite WrestleMania when we talked about that, and you don't see things like that. It's like when we saw. I'll just go to recent memory when Drew had a chance to win the title against Roman in his home, and they basically screwed that up. And then you see him dancing stupidly at the end and singing at the end of that.
Oh yeah,
with Tyson, I think it was Tyson Kidd or somebody. I think if that's who it was, but it just didn't see that. And back then, Wembley erupted, and you'll never the crowds back then. I think these were the early days of the stadiums and stuff where they get 70, 80,000 people, and you won't see that. I don't know if you'll see that anymore either at this point, because the crowds, as you can see in the SummerSlam for this year, they'll be lucky to hit 40,000 for their night. So it's just great memories. I mean, back in those days, it was a little before the Attitude Era, but still wrestling was great back then. Because you still had all the territories. And Vince was starting to take over. That was the early days of WrestleMania and everything, and SummerSlam being new then, and it was fun. It was fun to watch. I got to look forward. I mean, I've gotten the pay-per-views back then on the days they were on, but I got to watch a lot of the shows were on regular TV. There was no cable back then. So you got to see wrestling if you looked around for it. Unlike nowadays, you have to get all these streaming services and everything, unless you do things on the what you call I don't want to say the word, but the outnet, where you can reach out and find things, which you have to nowadays because it's so expensive at times. That was my major memory of that SummerSlam, was because I think it was all about the story about that, the story of the Hearts, just going down. I want to hear what you think though, because I figured that might be one of your memories because of the Bret Hart fan you are. So
well,
I'd like to hear what you think.
Yeah, the thing was, England was a hot crowd, and for those that don't know the story, it was between DC and this is all from Brett's book and from other interviews, but it was between DC and England, and they went to England, and it was a hot crowd. It was a legit 80,000 back then. So yeah, great show, SummerSlam 92. I believe that was the fourth one. The first one was 88, so 92 was 4 years later. My first memory to talk about, and again, like I said, the three of them deal with Brett. This one deals with him, but is not about him per se. But the first one, and again, I'll compare it to we usually talk about, that we compare how wrestling was back then to now. This is an example of, I think, to this day in 2026, WWE still hasn't learned their lesson. But my first memory or bad memory of SummerSlam, the history of SummerSlam, is 1993. But before we talk about that, let's go back a couple more months. Long story short, Bret walked into WrestleMania 9 as champion. And again, if you've read his book, if you saw the documentary on WrestleMania 9, as Vince McMahon used to say, Caesar's Palace, you know the story, Bret versus Yokozuna. Yoko won the Rumble. I think it was a couple days before the pay-per-view. Back then, they were known as pay-per-views. Vince tells Bret, you're going to drop the title to Yoko, and Hogan, of all people, who left and now came back, is getting the title belt. And so it happened. It was the injustice of the night, where Bret did drop the belt to Yoko, but then 30 seconds later, Hogan takes the title belt. Now, this doesn't have to deal with Hogan, but this was supposed to be Bret's chance at finally winning at a WrestleMania and walking into SummerSlam. All right, so they switched the belt to Hogan. And again, all based off of Bret's book, and also Bruce Pritchard and his podcast before he left to go back to WWE. Bret was told it was going to be him versus Hogan at SummerSlam in 93. So imagine that. Us in 93 could have witnessed Bret Hart versus Hulk Hogan. Not since Hogan and Warrior have we seen a big babyface versus a big babyface in a main event at a pay-per-view. And so Bret and Bruce have said that it was in Canada. They did this pictorial for the promotional photos for SummerSlam of Bret and Hogan doing this tug of war with the belt. And well, it never happened because Hogan dropped the belt at King of the Ring that year back to Yokozuna, and he left. And you can't blame Bret for being mad. Now, what's this got to do with SummerSlam? Oh, well, the connection is we won't harp on the today's world that much, but we will a little bit. In today's world, you guys have said it on the review, so have I. And again, shout out to No DQ and everybody there. How we're all dumbfounded how Obafemi just let his championship match just go away to get rid of the problem that is Brock Lesnar, even though it's Oba himself who poked the bear. Well, back then, Vince turned to Lex Luger, of all people, out of nowhere. He pushed Bret to the side, even though Bret was pretty popular. And Hogan left, so he needed that other American hero up for reasons to take care of the evil foreigner. And so we all remember the Lex Express, right? Well, there was that guy. And so we head to SummerSlam. This is supposed to be Lex Luger's crowning moment. You know, it's America versus Japan, the evil foreigner. Exactly. The evil foreigner versus the American hero. Lex is going to win it for America. And what happens? He wins via count out. And that's not just the weird part. The part that confused the part that really confused me was after the match, the celebration, the baby faces come to the ring, not Bret, but baby faces. Yeah, they come up, they put him on his shoulder. He's got the American flag. Yeah, the Steiner brothers. Yeah,
Steiner brothers were there lifting up.
The crowd is kind of trying to get into it, and if you go back. Yeah, and if you go back on YouTube to see that match, look at Luger's face. He's trying to smile. He's holding an American flag, but he has this weird smile. Even I was 11 years old when that pay-per-view happened, and I sat there going like, what is he celebrating? He didn't win the title. And then as we got older, as time went on, when you hear the backstories, apparently Vince got cold feet, and he wanted to, again, this is the only time I'm going to compare Lex Luger to Obafemi. He wanted to wait for WrestleMania. And if you know the story, well, we waited to WrestleMania. Never happened. We went to the Rumble. Again, Bret was just on fire. The crowd loved him. They won both the Rumble. One ref raises Lex's hands. Pretty good pop. And it was cool how it was Earl Hebner raises Bret's hand. The place explodes. We go to WrestleMania 10, and we don't know how that story goes. So I call that a SummerSlam blunder. One quick memory, because I was thinking about this during I was at work today. I'm like, let me just pick three. And that was just the first one I thought of. Because again, real quickly, let's harp on it. Let's compare to today. I think, and perhaps you may agree and others may agree, this weekend, it should have been Oba versus Roman Reigns. Night 2,
no doubt.
Crown him the champion. Put the rocket on his back. But again, like we said at WrestleMania X7 and other times, this time WWE, have they not learned their? It's a rhetorical question, but have they not learned their lesson? Like if you got someone on fire again, now you're probably saying, well, wait a minute, Oof. What if they did put the belt on Luger? All right, they put the belt on Luger at SummerSlam. If the ratings drop, attendance drop, all right. maybe suck it up till Survivor Series, because remember, back then it was only the big four.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe suck it up till Survivor Series, have the rematch, Yokozuna versus Lex Luger, and just put the belt back on Yoko. And then the timeline, there we go, Back to the Future reference. The timeline continues, and we go like what happened. Let's try the Rumble, but Yoko keeps the belt till WrestleMania 10, and then Brett takes it. And so here we are, 2026, from 1993 to 2026. Again, they had somebody on fire, Oba. But again, like I said, I think and again, shout out to you guys doing your predictions the other day. But I think this weekend is, instead of Roman versus Seth, it should have been Roman versus Oba. But again, WWE doesn't learn their lesson. Did Paul Levesque get cold feet? Who knows? I'm a firm believer that they think the audience is dumb. They're going to go to the Rumble. Oba's going to win it, and we're going to get it at Like, what is it with WrestleMania that has to be the end all be all of stories? Heck, now SummerSlam is now 2 nights, so WrestleMania itself has lost, I think, in my opinion, it's luster. It's like epicness. It's like, well, now you have 2 nights of SummerSlam, and I've been saying it for a long time, and I will say it till we reach that year. I believe in the year 2030, Lord have mercy, and I hope we make it to that year. I believe in 4 years, all WWE PLEs will be 2 nights. That's just my feeling, the way things are going. I think Royal Rumble is the next, maybe not this January coming up, maybe in 2028. I think the Rumble will be 2 nights. You got a men's Rumble, you got a women's Rumble, split them up with their own matches. Again, they love only like four matches on the Rumble PLE. All right, fine. 4 on night 1, 4 on the other, with the Rumbles ending both. But again, it's just, I see history repeating itself, where again, they had Lex Luger in 93. He's the conquering hero. Vince, for reasons, got cold feet. But again, we got to the Rumble, and the design was like, all right, back then, WWE didn't have these mega contracts they had today, so they relied on the audience's opinion. And if the audience said, Brett is our guy, Vince went, all right, Brett's their guy. Now, with their guaranteed contracts, Paul can do whatever he wants, basically. But I feel it was a major mic drop and an epic feel that this weekend we're not seeing Roman versus Oba. And again, I like to call it the King of the Ring controversy, sliding away his title match. And again, I think they're going to have him win the Rumble, go to Mania, and they're going to completely forget of what happened at King of the Ring. Yeah. So it's just interesting how
it's going to be like the flashback. It's going to be like flashback episodes where Bobby didn't really get killed in the show Dallas.
It was all a dream. Yeah.
It was all the weird thing about this Oofman is, because if you think about it, they're making the same mistake. Possibly they've made the same mistake. And if you think about it, the people were around wrestling back then, and they're making the same mistake twice. You got Michael Hayes. You got what's his name, who was Brother Love?
Bruce.
Bruce. You got Bruce. You got Triple H. These guys were all around wrestling back then. Some of them, and Bruce was in WWE still back then, and
he was.
And the history's repeating itself that way. And we talked about in predictions. We all predicted Oba winning. The biggest crime in the world will be if Brock goes over. If they do that, they might as well just pack up Oba and ship him back to NXT at that point, or away, because that would just kill him. They've already killed Gunther. They've already destroyed him basically right now. If they destroy Oba, that means they're going to cut themselves off at the knees, because every one of their top people are in their early to mid 40s right now. And you need to build these youngsters. We've been talking. How long have we been talking about a no DQ for the last couple of years? They're not building. They've screwed up Braun Breaker. You got him as a third wheel in the vision right now. I mean, it's just been. He's got It's just been. They've messed up all these young people. Now Sol Ruka. So I know she came up early, but still. Going back with her, losing in her second defense or third defense, it's like you're just blowing up these youngsters. And the one good thing is Raquel won. Raquel needed to win, because we haven't had enough of that. So where she needed to win her first singles title, but that at least that happened out of it. But they cannot keep screwing up these chances because tomorrow you never know. Punk might be gone. He's in his late 40s. Cody might get hurt. Roman has got Hollywood calling him. And I don't, unless he has flops like The Rock's had lately. And that kept getting mentioned last night. Everybody said we don't think it'll happen. It's basically fantasy booking. The only way that this bloodline can survive is The Rock showing up. They gotta get the heck away from The Rock because you're looking for a 50-some-year-old guy to do things that we really should be building these youngsters up for. And they're just not doing it. I know I'm getting off topic a little bit.
No,
here.
that's great. No, it just goes back to, like I said earlier, how again 93 they, for reasons, he didn't pull the trigger on Lex. All right, cool. And then, like I said, back then they depended on the opinion of the fans. That's how they survived. Now, guaranteed contracts, they can do whatever they want, but they're being the fans now with social media are being vocal. So it's just funny how from 93 to 2026, and it's SummerSlam again, they're just repeating their errors. But again, like I said, hopefully this weekend they learned their lesson, but we just have to sit back and wait for what happens afterwards.
And Lex did a big FU to Vince after that. He went to WCW. He just
there's that.
He said the heck with this, and he said I'm done with this. And
he was only on a handshake deal, so
yeah. And the weird thing is, Bret Hart would have stayed there the rest of his life, but he blew him up too. And the thing is, if anyone that was a lifer, and we talk about that nowadays with now all of a sudden the New Day and these people getting released who've been here over 20 years. And it was that back then because Bret Hart would have never left. He was WWE through and through, WWF really through and through. He wasn't going anywhere, but Vince screwed up. He was. I don't understand, and I don't think Lex Luger was ever going to be the Hulk Hogan. I think he misstepped with that. If he wasn't going to pull the trigger, he was going to lose it because he had, like you said, it's like but they had to pull the trigger early on Lex, early, and they didn't do it, and they just didn't do it, and they lost him. And
well, again, it's this mentality of crown it at Mania. It's like, well, you could, but just do it if you feel. And again, I think JR has said it in his podcast. You can't try, especially when they spoke about the Brawl for All. It's like, well, you get an idea and you don't know if it's going to be a success or not unless you try it. Yes, the Brawl for All was a disaster, but to give them some credit, if you come up with an idea, you don't know if it's going to be successful or not. So again, we can talk about Braun Breaker not getting the rocket on him earlier this year, I should say, and now Oba. So again, it's just funny how all these years later, they're just rinse and repeating again, not taking the shot, but whatever, moving on. So now, Dave, we'll move on to your second memory of SummerSlam. So what do you have for your second memory, be it good or bad?
Well, I have a few here. I'm trying to look through what I was thinking about here.
No problem.
How about SummerSlam 2000? It was in Raleigh, North Carolina. Hardy Boys country, the first TLC match.
The TLC one, yeah.
Yep, with Edge, Christian, Hardy Boys, and the Dudley Boys. Three of the best tag teams of the modern era. And I think anytime you get, and the thing is, we see it now a lot because we see ladders matches now. They're all about the same. Back then, it was all new, and Jeff Hardy was the first Daredevil, real Daredevil, because you saw mostly. See, I'm from the early days of the late 70s, early 80s, where it was a ground and pound game for a lot of people. You didn't see many high flyers; they were few and far between. And Jeff Hardy was, as they call him, the Enigma. He was really Enigma, and along with Matt, I mean, and it was weird you had two sets of brothers in there. Edge and Christian probably have known each other since they were kids. They're like brothers, but
They're basically
it
brothers.
was it was a family affair. To see that, and I enjoyed watching, and we had those short videos that our buddy Aaron from No DQ did, where I picked my favorite tag team of all time. I picked the Dudley Boys of all, because I just the Devon get the table, and it just I miss that part of tag team because we don't have tag team wrestling anymore. You see WWE is really failing at that. Hopefully AEW will start to bring that back, because they had a heck of a tag team division when they started, and it looks like they're going to increase by a couple very, very soon, maybe one tonight. And that I miss tag team wrestling. I just miss good tag team wrestling, and because it can be fun. I mean, it's I mean, you see a lot of spots. You see spots, but it's not. It wasn't overdone back then either, because a lot of things were innovative back then. Nowadays, my gosh, and I know you like AEW, and I do in ways too, but sometimes those matches can be way too long, and they don't need to be. But because sometimes you could tell a story in 15 to 20 minutes instead of 40 to 50, and make it real. And again, WWE and AEW are on the opposite ends of the spectrum. When you have WrestleMania this year, where the first night every match was between 5 and 7 minutes with a bunch of commercials. So
exactly,
we don't have a median anymore, and I hope at one point or another both companies could get back to that median, because we talked about it when we talked about the invasion with NWO with the WCW and with WWE prior. I want to see where you have two companies that are all out all the time. As Fatu would say, all gas, no brakes. That's what I want to see wrestling at. But definitely that tables, ladders, and chairs match was one of my favorites.
Yeah, they literally set the bar, and then, like we spoke about at X7, they brought it back again. Yeah, awesome memory there. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Well, my second point is actually 1 year after SummerSlam 93, which comes to SummerSlam 94. They opened the United Center in Chicago. Shout out to Chicago there. I got to go back to that city. Shout out to my niece and my sister out there. And yeah,
I was there recently.
There you go. And so they opened the United Center, beautiful center. And of course, got to talk about what was the real main event. Even though the show's main event was Undertaker versus Undertaker, I still can't believe why. But I guess, well, after the match happened, they didn't put the cage match on. But Bret Hart versus Owen Hart for the WWF title, in my opinion, and in many others, the greatest steel cage match, not Hell in a Cell, just steel cage match of all time is Bret and Owen. And again, if you've read his book or have seen his interviews talking about it, there was a monster no blood law in well, it's always been around, but especially in the mid 90s, there was no blood allowed in WWF matches unless it was hard way. But Bret and Owen, they were told before the show, like, no blood and all that. So how Bret was, I'm paraphrasing here from his book, but he's trying to think, how are we going to do this? Like, the steel cage, again, you have to think 1994 was the most dangerous match then. How can you be dangerous and violent without getting busted up? So what Bret and Owen came up with, and again, if you go, I'm pretty sure the Vault has it, especially now with SummerSlam on its way. If you watch the match, it's just basically, going back to 1 year before, WrestleMania 10, Bret and Owen opened the match. Again, greatest opening match in of WrestleMania history. I'll fight anybody on that. That match was like near perfect. Now that they're in a steel cage match, how can they go one step better? Well, they made it like a cat and mouse match of who can escape the cage. And you see Bret trying to escape the cage from climbing over or going through the door. One scenario, I think you see Owen pull Bret from his leg from the door and he dives through the door. It was so exaggerated, but it was Owen Hart, if you knew his comedy, and that's how he rolled. So here you have, again, we just spoke about brothers in the TLC. Here you had brothers again, but 1 year later, doing it again. But again, in this main event, again, I believe the main event, not the Taker versus Taker match. There they were trying to come up with how do we make this creative, and it was extremely creative. And again, another great wrestling match. I mean, come on, Brett and Owen, are we surprised? No. But with the steel cage concept, they made it great. You have the one part in Brett's DVD got a little emotional, and he says he remembered he does the superplex on Owen from the top rope, and he said the only thing I could think of was protecting him, and you just see them fall. They're breathing heavy. And then the chaos, and then back to the family. The chaos, and at the end of the match, Brett wins. He climbs out. Owen gets tangled upside down. Everybody's celebrating. Neidhart, who was sitting ringside, away from the family but near them, jumps the railing. He clotheslines the British Bulldog and Diana. According to Brett and Owen, that was not supposed to happen. So if you watch that match, you see Diana and Bulldog go over, but Diana wasn't supposed to go over. She was fine. So Brett and Owen were a little angry about that. But then you have the chaos with the family, and here come all the brothers trying to get in. Anvil takes which made me laugh. He takes forever to chain the door closed, but whatever. It's Anvil. You got to love him. And so Anvil and Owen are beating the crap out of Brett. The brothers and Bulldog are climbing over the cage. The referees finally get the chain breaker open. They get inside, but then Owen and Anvil leave. And it's just the continuation of that feud of Brett and Owen. Just that was almost towards the end of their feud. They ended a couple of months, I think it's September, on our match on Raw. But again, a highlight of the history of the Hearts right there. Again, I'm the biased Hart guy, but again, that was the main event. Undertaker versus Undertaker. Lord have mercy. According to Brett, they went over, so that match had to be cut. Again, even with the ruckus with the family, they still should have ended the pay-per-view with the steel cage, but whatever, I guess. You needed Leslie Nielsen, I guess, to end the show, whatever. But that's just funny how you go from one SummerSlam 93, how that ended in a debacle, and then they fired back 1 year later with that again, best steel cage match of all time. Again, a family, what's SummerSlam and families? There you go, Brett and Owen, giving us, again, I think a 10-star match. I don't do ratings, but a 10-star match. And the crowd was into it. And again, how do you be violent without blood and all that? Well, they threw each other on the cage. They tried to just show us, look, we're going to have a wrestling match in a steel cage. And again, they did a phenomenal job. And they used the cage, like Brett would throw Owen on the cage and vice versa. So they did what they could. No blood, just action-packed, and they harmed themselves by using the cage as a weapon, and nobody got cut, and everybody walked out great, and Brett was proud of that match, so was Owen. So that was my second memory. And finally, all right, Dave, your third memory, good or bad, of SummerSlam would be what?
My third memory, and we've talked about Oba, and my third memory is what Oba should have mirrored this year was 2002. Brock Lesnar, after 7 months in the company, beats The Rock to win his first title. And that's why we all thought this was going to be Oba and SummerSlam against Reigns, mirroring Brock Lesnar's rise to the top in 2002. And it's weird how you think about it, how Brock Lesnar's still around after 24 years. I would have never thought he'd still be involved. So
absolutely crazy.
It shows how he's still jacked up, but it shows how much the money's worth that for him, obviously. And
especially nowadays. Yeah, you're right.
Definitely, that's how we thought about me and you and Gino and others on Major Push. Me and Gino were predicting, Oba winning at SummerSlam, just like Brock did in 2002. That rise to win that title. And obviously Gino thought Trick Williams would be a champ, also the world champion by then too, but obviously he's still in that United States picture, and God forbid he loses to Corbin. But
well, we'll find out.
I don't know if you watched it, but Aaron said if what did he say, if Corbin wins, he would bring out his alter ego back online.
Well,
Yeah,
I
so
haven't. Well, shout out to Noah Foster. He hasn't sent the predictions yet, but I am leaning towards Corbin. Unfortunately, I don't know why,
well,
but I have until he sends the form. I may change my mind. I'll probably I'll watch Aaron's review on Friday for SmackDown, and then we'll see what happens. Because
well,
one match real fast.
Gino will crumble if he beats Trek.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I
If
all
you
I
put a
said for that.
if you put a gun to my head right now on Wednesday before SummerSlam, and you said who's going to win, if is Corbin going to win, I would say yes. But that's today, Wednesday. Like I said, let's see what happens, and until Noah sends out the forum, I'll stick to that.
Well,
But again,
all I said was, "Where's Carmelo? This is poor guy. Probably
well,
had a
there's
great run, but
there's
he could
there's
still
still
be put
time.
in that match
Mm-hmm. You're
on
right.
Friday."
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, what would they make sense out of it at this point, this late? I don't know, but um, I still think he unfortunately got the short end of the package when Sami Zayn beat him.
Mm,
I know what they were doing with Sammy, but still, unfortunately, Carmelo, another one of the young guys.
yep.
This guy was awesome in NXT. He was doing great with the US title. He had some great matches. Oh my, this guy does, and he can still, and he talks too. He's got a
Yep.
promo. I just hope if he's not going to be, he's not going to be a champion, a world champion at one point or another. Even though I think they're going to push Trick higher. Him and Trick could be, if they ever got a tag team division again, those two would be great. But the thing is, they both also would make great main eventers, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, Trick Scott is more of a great promo than Carmelo. I think Carmelo's a better wrestler than Trick. Trick's got some moves, but he's got that Booker T mentality and the Booker T charisma. And that's what made Booker T a pretty good champion. And but he started out as a great tag team wrestler too. So, I mean, with his brother, another family memory.
More family.
More family. But I just hope things happen. I know you made pick Corbin. I didn't pick Corbin. There was one person on our panel that did. Go watch that at No DQ. He was lambasted for it. But I think that I just wish they would have treated Oba just like Brock. Oba should never taken a loss against Brock. We all talked about it, how if the third match would have been after Brock lost twice, where he could have put his career on the line somewhere, that's fine. I don't think Oba should have been looking up at the lights that quick. I think that really he should have not been losing. Now don't give him a Goldberg treatment where he wins 130 in a row, but let him go a full year without losing. I mean, luckily, thank God they don't bring up Ricky Starks beating him in NXT, because that was ridiculous in itself too. This guy should have not been losing at all. And for him, and they made him look like a chump by giving up his title for a Hell in a Cell match, giving up a title shot. And then all he could say was, well, Brock would have screwed me out of it anyways.
Yep.
Just so, but that's that lazy, and like you said, couldn't pull the trigger, got cold feet. I hope it wasn't Bruce Pritchard saying got cold feet. But,
I would point fingers at Bruce, but that's just me. But
I would too. I would. And he had the Undertaker. This is a guy that managed the Undertaker. I mean,
he managed him for about a year, so
but I mean,
it's somebody's fault.
But he knew that how to deal with a once in a generation star, and this is where it's at right now, because Oba definitely is that guy. I mean, he may not. We don't know how many wrestling moves he has. He may not have a lot, but and some people don't need it. I mean, obviously, Hulk Hogan got away with being what he was because Vince wanted it that way. And we talked about that on another show recently where somebody said Hulk wasn't a good wrestler. Yes, he was.
He was.
He did. When he went to Japan, he had to wrestle. And I didn't get to see those matches, but our buddy Evan did. And I said, he can back me up. Hulk Hogan could wrestle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no,
it's around the internet.
What Vince wanted. Yeah, that's not what Vince wanted.
Yeah, no, there was a whole the bigger than life characters in the 80s, but Japan is a different audience than America.
Oh yeah,
and Hogan knew. All right, my shtick, this is not going to work. He actually wrestled. Yeah, good. Yeah, SummerSlam 2002. Yeah, with Lesnar and Rock. We also had Shawn Michaels and Triple H there on sanctioned match. Pretty good pay-per-view. Yeah. So mine is, well, again, shout out to my home state, even though this is 88, but it came back in 1997, and overall, it's not just one moment. The entire show, I think, of SummerSlam 97 was pretty good. You had the steel cage match between young Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Mankind in that match. And again, from the good stuff of a match like that to moment, you had the infamous match between Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Owen Hart for the IC title, where unfortunately doing a reverse tombstone, that's where Austin broke his neck. He got a stinger and broke his neck in there. You had Shamrock versus Bulldog in that match. Pillman versus Goldust is in there as well. And of course, but again, a little back to Austin and Owen. Again, it's historic because of that, because that's when Austin got his stinger. He was out, but they kept him on television because Austin was starting to build his popularity, but they managed to keep him on TV while he did rehab, and he completely changed his style of wrestling. He was a brawler. He was actually a technical guy, and then he became a brawler.
Yes, he was.
That pay-per-view is known for that, again, infamous moment, that's tragic moment. Props to Owen, because again, when you hear interviews, if you saw the Stone Cold podcast where he had Brett on there, they spoke about that, and he said that Owen was just walking around. He knew something was up. Austin was communicating like he couldn't feel his legs. While the referee was checking on Austin, Owen was just messing around with the crowd, chanting Canada or just booing him and all that. And of course, even Austin admits it, the world's worst schoolboy pin ever done. Owen gently falls down for Austin to pin him, and Austin wins the belt. I mean, they could have done an audible or something, but no, they went with the flow for Austin to win the match. And then, of course, we got to talk about the main event. Undertaker walked in as champion against Bret Hart and his nemesis. Yeah.
Nemesis.
Thank you. That. Shawn Michaels is the special guest referee. So again, a little context to the match. Bret Hart said if he didn't win the title, he would stop wrestling in America, because that was the climax, the zenith, I think, of the USA versus Canada thing that they were going on. Bret reunited the Hart Foundation with the Bulldog, Owen, Pillman, and Neidhart, and they were the hottest thing right now, heels, of course. And so he made that promise. If he didn't win the title, he would stop wrestling in America as well. Shawn Michaels decided to throw his 2 cents into the match to become the referee. But he also said if he doesn't call the match straight down the line, he too won't wrestle in America as well. So the match had a lot going for it. And also, obviously, the title was on the line. So great match. Undertaker and Bret always had great chemistry. They fought again in one night only in the UK a month later. But this match was great, and it was building up. What was cool about it, Shawn was yelling at both Bret and Taker to keep it fair, get back in the ring when they go outside. And then the climax is Bret Hart brings a chair in. He uses it, but he does kind of like the Eddie Guerrero thing where he throws it to the side. And then he's attacking Taker in the corner. Shawn, I think, was knocked out, or he was outside. He gets into the ring. He sees the chair. He asks Bret, did you use it? Bret's like, no, I didn't use it. But Shawn wasn't believing him. He turns Bret around. He's still yelling at him. Bret clearly says F you, because if you read his lips, he says it. Shawn swings back. He gives it 100%, a great baseball swing. Bret ducks. And HBK nails the Undertaker right in the head. Taker, like a tree, just falls straight down. And what does Bret do? Bret just covers Undertaker, and he's telling, and it's so funny, he's telling Shawn, like, come on, count. And Shawn's like, he needs to do it because he said if he doesn't call the match down the line, he loses that wrestling privilege, allegedly. So he goes down, he counts to 3, leaves the ring. And again, Bret Hart became a 5-time, he tied Mr. Hogan that night, a 5-time WWF champion. But the whole thing about that match was the story that they told that night. They worked it perfectly in, and something happened in November of 97. I don't know. I'll Google it later, but something called the screw job, whatever. WWE doesn't talk about it that much, so I don't know what's going on. But before we got there, that's what actually led to Montreal, where, again, just talking about that real fast, and we mentioned it earlier, what if Bret stayed? Well, it's like if they were having so much trouble thinking of how to end the pay-per-view, because we all know Bret and Shawn weren't getting along by Survivor Series, like many people have said in other podcasts and other reviews of Survivor Series and the screw job history, they could have Undertaker didn't have a match at Survivor Series. They could have made it a 3-way, and Bret maybe could have stayed. Bret would be like, all right, cool. If you throw Taker in there, it's me, Shawn, and Taker. Maybe Bret loses to Undertaker. Maybe Bret would be cool with that. Montreal, the match happens, but the screw job doesn't. Does Bret stay? We should do probably an episode later on and with others of like world famous what ifs. Like, what if Bret never left? Because if Bret never left, yeah, what would have happened? What if? We can call it the wrestling version of what if. Marvel has what if. Well, wrestling has its what if.
What if Luger won the title instead of getting the count out? What if he body slams him and pins him in the middle of the ring instead?
That's one. What if we got, like I mentioned earlier, Bret versus Hogan, SummerSlam 93? Like, so many what ifs. But for here, it was the whole what if Taker was added to that? What would have happened later on? But for SummerSlam, the story they told was great. Everybody played their part perfectly. Bret and Shawn were cordial at that moment, but again, later on, then came October with the whole contract thing. But at SummerSlam 97, besides that match, the pay-per-view was a really good pay-per-view. Again, had its hits, had its good moments, great wrestling, and is known for its infamous one as well, where it's safe to say Stone Cold's life and his career completely went 180 after that. Because again, he was sidelined, but they knew how to keep him on TV. And he went till 2000 when they did the whole who ran over Stone Cold. Oh no, 99. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Till they went to 99. Mm-hmm. So Austin went 2 years with a bad neck till he had the surgery in the fall of 99, took all of 2000 off to recover. Obviously. I mean, he had his little run in at Backlash, but he didn't come back till the fall of 2000. So again, I think 97 and 2000 are my 2 favorite years creatively. And of course, being the Bret Hart mark, I love the Hart Foundation storyline they were doing. They're heroes in Canada one week, they were villains in America the next. Like, what? How did they manage that? I'm sorry, only Bret could do that. They tried with Lance Storm years later, but that failed. They tried it in WCW, failed again. There was something going on in 97. Again, it deals with what we mentioned in the NWO videos. The NWO was already there. They were beating the crap out of WWF 83 weeks. Bishop made a podcast off of it. So they had to do something. And again, I'd like to say the Attitude Era began the night Bret shoved Vince McMahon before WrestleMania 13. That was the beginning of the Mr. McMahon character. We were seeing something we've never seen before. Bret went on a cussing tirade. He was told to do it. So when he went backstage, they were all like, what were you thinking? He's like, you guys told me to do this. So 97 was a very interesting year, like we said in the NWO video, for both companies, but more for WWF as well. Again, no pun intended, the attitude of the company was starting to change. The attitude of WrestleMania was different, especially with the Austin Bret match. And even SummerSlam, again, they were walking the line of faces, heels, or black or white, gray shade areas. The intro of that pay-per-view was great, talking about life's not fair and all that. And again, Bret was trying to just be fair. Like, look, I've been screwed all these times. I just want a title match, no interference. And now his nemesis is the referee. So all those stories into this show. And again, like I said, not only the main event, but for all the matches, a great show. And just to get us hyped for this weekend, I'll probably go back. It's probably somewhere online, the entire show, just to watch it, to get us hyped for this weekend. SummerSlam 97, a great show from beginning to end, and no pun intended, or no coincidence, it happened in Jersey. Hey, but it's just an overall great show. And your thank you for your examples as well. Yeah, SummerSlam 2002 was great with their matches. And again, just to I guess beat a dead horse dead again. Again, we see how what happened in the past, and like we said with 2002, Brock Lesnar, he was the next big thing. Literally, we went to 2002. It was a great match between him and Rock. They had a good fight, and in the end, Lesnar stood tall with the title. Again, should they have done it with Braun in January? I say yes. All right, they jumped the shark with him. All right, now we got Oba. All right, like. How many times, and again, a rhetorical question, how many times are they not going to go with what they got? And again, shout out to our boy Gino. Is it because they want to keep people humble? Like a couple weeks ago, we mentioned on Major Push Wrestling, does Triple H notice like, well, in the past, people would get egos, or is it like, for example, like Brock, he was given the title months after his debut with Heyman, in 2002, well, what happened 2 years later? He left. Would Oba do it? Would Braun do it?
But they did it with Sheamus too. We talked about that recently. And Sheamus, until he just recently left because they tried to lowball him another one after 20 some years. But I mean, we talked about. I looked it up before we did a review. I said, we talk about Brock, but Sheamus won the title pretty early on against Cena. I mean, pretty quickly.
He dethroned Cena. Not many people can say that. Well, 17 people can, but he did it. You had this new guy, and I think that was his first world title win, beating Cena. If that doesn't say the company's behind you, I don't know what does. And yeah, we can talk about Gunther, poor Gunther. But just to hype this weekend off again, hopefully it is an entertaining show. Again, SummerSlam is they call it the WrestleMania of the summer, which is by all means absolutely true. I just hope it's a good show, and when Noah sends the predictions, I'll make my predictions then. But I just hope we got 2 nights, 6 matches each night, which is fine. That's cool. I just hope and again, at the end of the day, like I said before, when the show is over, if I ask myself, was I entertained? Yes or no? I just hope it's entertaining. Unfortunately, we know how these shows go. It's like AEW, we have a lot of wrestling, and in WWE, we have a lot of ads. So, like you said a couple minutes ago, will we have a happy medium? Hopefully, somebody will find a happy medium. But it was a wonderful discussion, Dave. Thank you so much for being on here. Tell the fine people out there, where can they find you in this crazy world known as the internet?
Thank you, and I appreciate it. Obviously, you'll find me as well as you with hanging with Gino normally on Wednesdays on Major Push. You'll find me on No DQ, the review, predictions. I made my first appearance a few weeks ago when I was on vacation, since they do it out late night. Simply Reliable. I did predictions with them a couple weeks back, and joined them on a Saturday Shenanigans show recently.
Awesome.
And so I got that's when I'm able to stay up late. This old man needs to get his sleep once in a while. So, but you'll find me all over the place. And again, thanks to Aaron and No DQ. Thanks to you, because you've helped Gino with getting the StreamYard for our shows, and also thanks to Aaron for putting us all in his space and help. We all help each other. There's no competition here. We're all helping each other. We're all friends. It's like a family away from our own families, and I appreciate you having me on with you.
No. Thank you for being on. And again, a big shout out has to go to Aaron. Recently, as you all know, one of the stories in the wrestling world, WWE purchased that Busted Open radio station. Now they're Radio WWE. It's going to be 100% biased towards WWE. There's not going to be, Tommy Dreamer. I don't have a Sirius XM account, but from the reports that I saw, Tommy Dreamer loved the Danhausen segment from this past Monday Night Raw. If you know, you know. But Yeah.
Oh God.
So on no, and like you said, on no DQ. Oh, we're live, baby.
Oh.
Microphone fell.
Botch.
We are live. Botch. Yeah. I'm not editing this because we are live. So no, but like you said, the cool part about the No DQ family, whether it's the review, major push here, JJ, Noah, no matter what show we're on with the No DQ members, we give our opinions, and that's what it's about, giving your opinions. And when it comes to predictions, sometimes we all agree, sometimes we're half and half, sometimes it's 60-40. But the cool part about Aaron, the boss man Aaron, we call him the boss because, well, again, he lets us stream on his channels as well. The cool part is all of us have our opinions, and we don't. It's very rare that you see us like fighting, but we're not. We're all respectful to each other. That's what makes these videos awesome. But most importantly, on my channel, and Gino does it too, and Aaron does as well. We give our thoughts, and if we disagree, at the end of the day, we all agree to disagree. So there's no bias things here in Gabbin with Oof. There's none in Major Push, none in No DQ, and everybody else. We all give our opinion because we all, at the end of the day, love wrestling. So you're not going to get what Radio WWE is going to do. You get everyone's opinions, and we all hear it out. Sure, we can discuss our opinions, especially like on the review or predictions, where we might ask ourselves like, oh, you picked that guy. Why? We'll give our reasons. I've come up with Austin theories on my predictions, and some of you guys have kicked my butt because I've made you change your decision and then you got it wrong. But I'm just going with what I see, what I feel, and I fantasy book a little much, but I just go with what my gut tells me. But again, that's why we do this. We do this because we love the product. We're not necessarily complaining, but again, we've been watching this product for many years. Us most than others, Gino, he just makes me feel old because he's so young.
Yeah.
But we've been watching this for a long time. Again, I don't think we're saying give us the book, Paul Levesque or Tony Khan. I am not saying that. I'm just telling you, like, look, this is what we see, and we're just giving our opinion. That's all it is. Our opinion. Unlike this tonight's stream where it was just our thoughts and all that, but 9 times out of 10, we give our opinions, we give what we feel, and the cool part is we're not hung for it, we're not condemned by it, we're not. Aaron, I hope not. Knock on wood, is not going to delete this video. No, he's cool with the fact that all of us who do stream on his channel. Again, it's his personal channel, so again, major props to Aaron for that. We have we're Americans, we're in America, we have our free speech, and that's the way to do it. There's no bias here. I'm not kissing Aaron's butt. I am not. I'm not kissing Gino's either. No one is kissing no one's butt in these channels. We give our opinion, what we feel, what we like, what we would like to see. And again, yes, we do have our disagreements, but at the end of the day, like you said, we're all friends. We all still get together. You guys met for Backlash. Like who does that? Like you guys took the time to be like, hey, let's all go to Backlash. And that was so cool seeing the No DQ being represented at Backlash. And again, maybe one day, I don't know, if Aaron gets a lot of super chats from Psychojet Black, he can buy us all tickets and we all go to a show together or whatever happens. But again, thank you, Dave. I cannot thank you enough. Again, not just for this, but all the other streams you joined me on. And again, this little channel is like a little engine just chugging along. And so for everybody who checked this out, thank you so much. Check out Dave. Like I said, he's on Facebook. He's all over the place on No DQ. And again, you'll be getting more videos from Gabbin with Oof. There's a lot more to talk about. I don't mind being the anniversary guy. So if there are anniversaries coming up and I want to gab about it, I will. For those of you who are going to watch SummerSlam this weekend, enjoy it. 2 nights. I hope to enjoy it. Dave, I hope you enjoyed as well. That's pretty much it for us for here. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Take everybody a wonderful night. God bless. Take care of yourself, everybody around you. And we'll see you around. Good night, everybody.